Welcome to Paint a Beautiful Picture. Today we're going to be talking about getting control. On March the 2nd, we had a discussion of who's in control. Now you've had a couple weeks to think that over. And today we're going to talk about getting control. The other day, I had someone share with me about a little boy who hates getting ready for bed. I realize this happens across the world, so it is not like it doesn't happen every night somewhere. When this little boy gets out of the tub, he goes crazy and he goes into his room and he's jumping on the bed naked and he doesn't want to cooperate in any way, shape, or form. And so, what does the person taking care of him do? But yells at him and tells him to knock it off. And yeah, you ever been there? You ever gone through this? So, my question for you is it not unrealistic to say, I want this child under control when you are completely out of control? Yeah, when you hear it like that, you pretty much go, not going to happen. Okay, I'm going to give you another one. I love this one because I see it just about every single time I walk into a store of any kind. Here's a kid, and they're like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And some of them are just a little quieter. I want this, 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 I want this. But they're persistent. Whichever version of this goes on, the loud pitch a fit, scream, carry on, make sure everybody in the whole world hears them, or the quieter one. The bottom line is there's this contest of what the kid wants and what the parent's going to do in response. Some parents just hand it to the kid. I wish I could tell you how many times I've seen that. And every time I cringe because A, they're setting up a terrible pattern, and B, they are doing nothing good for their child. So let's talk about this. How do you get things under control? If you have an anywhere from 7 to 10-year-old child and you've been doing it this way for this length of time, I want to tell you in no uncertain terms, this is going to be a challenge. Okay? But it's not impossible. And I've seen it happen many, many times successfully. So don't lose heart. But if you're starting off with a baby or a 1 or 2-year-old, hallelujah, this is going to be much easier. And here's what happens. You get control by getting control of yourself. That's why if you don't have a baby yet, if you're pregnant or you have, a baby under 2, thank God you're here because I can help you with this early. So let's start with you guys first. If you frequently get angry, if you frequently go shopping and spend a whole lot of money, much, much, much more money than you meant to spend, if you go out and you're hanging out with your friends and you're going to have a drink and you find yourself wasted a couple hours later, you don't have much self-control, okay? And you need some. So how do you do that? Okay, start at the beginning. That's my statement. In other words, find the thing that is easiest for you to get a hold of, all right? Say you're a relentless speeder. I mean, you just love to go fast. I get that. If you have cruise control on your car, when the speed limit is 35, you set that cruise control on 36. And you deal with how long it's going to take. And you can plan on being late for the next week or two to everywhere you go because you're used to driving like a speed demon and roaring in there. I mean, this is the personality type. So you set that cruise control and you deal with that speed limit. That's self-control, okay? If you're really bad about going shopping and spending way more than you're supposed to, then you only take cash. You go to the bank, you get out X number of dollars, whatever that amount is. You put that amount of money into your wallet and you take out your debit card and your credit cards and a checkbook. I mean, that's what you got. You can't spend more than that because that's what's there. And once that money is gone, no matter how much you love that other shirt or how much you wanted to buy that steak or whatever it was, that's all the money you have. You start to develop self-discipline. You get control of your life and you keep adding on. Let me tell you, this is probably going to take about 6 months. Okay? You start developing self-control in what you're eating. You start developing self-control in how you are driving. You start developing self-control in how much money you are spending. Then you can start developing self-control in harder things like how much you drink or how much you smoke or how much you go run around with your friends or how much time you're spending on the computer. You see, you have to get control. You get control of item by item by item by item. I'm going to throw the challenge question at you right now. In what ways is my life out of control? Because for everyone, it's somewhere. And what do I need to do about it? Okay. It isn't about me telling you or someone else telling you. It's about yourself. What do you need to get under control? Okay. If you got all the cash in the world, you could spend, $500 a month on drinking and smoking and partying. Great. I mean, seriously, that's all right. As long as you're not driving around in a car drunk and acting like an idiot or, having sex with 5 or 6 people a week because you're too drunk not to. If you can do it and you can afford it and it doesn't bother you, that is your business. However, if it's a problem for you, you need to get control of it. Now let's talk about getting control of your emotional state, which we have discussed before, but I'm going to do it in more detail today. Okay, so you're a relentless worrywart. I mean, you worry about everything. You make yourself frantic. You have crazy amounts of anxiety. You can hardly live inside of your own skin. You need to get control of that. And I guarantee that you can. Okay? You need to realize that worrying steals this moment, this day. Because you're either worrying about things that you did yesterday or things that you didn't do yesterday, or more commonly, you're worrying about what's going to happen and what's going to come. And okay, A, you can do nothing about yesterday. I mean, nothing. If you hurt someone's feelings, if you said bad things, you do need to apologize and ask forgiveness. Besides that, you can't fix it, you can't change it. So you need to accept what happened, especially if you did it badly. Okay, acknowledge that wasn't good. I don't care to repeat that, but that is what happened. Forgive yourself and let it go. Do you know that yesterday is gone? And if you are using so much emotional energy on yesterday, you aren't living today. So get control of that. And if you're worrying constantly about tomorrow, about what's going to happen, and blah, blah, you know what? Again, you are wasting today in another place that you haven't even gotten to yet, and maybe not. And I have to tell you that probably fully 80 to 90% of things that people worry about never happen. So quit. And you do that one thought at a time. So you start worrying. And you've run down this road for 5 or 10 minutes and you realize, wow, I'm sitting here worrying, getting myself all worked up emotionally, all frantic, all frustrated, all anxious. And I'm not supposed to do that. And so I'm going to stop and think about something good, like play with my child, uh, make a batch of cookies with my child, do art with my child, do something with your child. Okay. Because we all know this. You can really be in trouble. You can have a headache. You can be anxious. You can be freaking out. You go to a party and you have people around you and you're being interactional and it goes away. Exactly. So make up your mind. I'm going to stop and then do something positive. Okay. If you're all by yourself, you don't have a child yet, you're not married, you're on your own, then what you do is you start thinking positive thoughts. Now, let me tell you, in the Bible, there is a verse and it says that whatever things are true, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, and a long other list. But think about these things. What we think about influences us all the time. We need to be thinking about the right stuff. That means probably turn off the news. Okay. The other thing it means is you need to have good things in your life. So, whether that is that you are creative, that you have good friends, that you have a good relationship with your parents, or a really great boyfriend or girlfriend, or you're married and you have an awesome relationship with your spouse, you think about the good elements there. Okay? You one thought at a time, you stop worrying and you think about what is good. Now, if you have a bad temper, okay, you're prone to lose it and yell and scream and cuss or even slam doors and break things and okay, how do you do that? Again, 1 minute at a time. So you're just seething inside and it wants to come out. Okay. As we talked about, you can be furious and yelling and screaming at your kids or your spouse, and you answer that phone, you're like, oh, hello. Yes. Just like that, you can get a hold of it. Okay, so here's all this, and it really wants to come out of you. And internally, you take a couple of breaths. In your mind, you're thinking, okay, I'm letting this go and let it out of there. I'm not saying it goes away that quickly, but I don't need to go off and act like an idiot. I don't need to lose control. I'm an adult and I know the way that I need to be and the way I need to present myself to the world. And I can say, I am furious right now. I expressed myself and I can do that in a productive way without acting terribly. So you keep doing this one thing at a time. And over time, you have control of your anger. You have control of your worry. You get control of your anxiety. You get control. Okay? Once you have control of your inner state and you are starting to develop control over areas externally that are manifesting themselves, now, you can start to get control of your child in your home. Okay? So then your child starts acting a certain way, and you say, that isn't the way that we act. You've seen me be angry. You know what that looks like. You can be angry without acting terribly. Okay? That's what your point is about having an example that you have control. You can teach them to have control. All right? They get really scared. Oh, mom, I'm scared of that. I can't do that. You say, let's talk about that. What are you scared of? Oh, I'm going to look really stupid. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to be terrible at that. Well, you know what? As human beings, all of us do sometimes look kind of ridiculous. You can't be afraid of that. You can't let that keep you from doing something fun. You just go ahead and do it, like roller skating. You're going to fall a couple hundred times, but you get back up and it's a blast once you figure it out. It's okay. At times, you're not going to look the greatest. You're going to look awkward or ridiculous. Yeah, don't let that stop you. And the fact that you're worried about getting hurt, well, even if you have a broken bone, that's what hospitals are for. They can set it. I mean, I'm not being a jerk here. You have to be realistic, and you have to be realistic with your kids and help them to start to be realistic. Okay? You get control one thought, 1 minute, one episode, one day at a time. Okay? And that's the exact same way that you get control of your home. You're not going to get control overnight. That's not going to happen. As you start to develop control over your own life, over the problem areas in your life, whether internally or externally, now you can start to get control of your home, control of your children in the places that they're struggling. So then when they're standing in Walmart, because they're still going to do it, I want this, I want this, I want this. And you look at them and you say, but you may not have it, and I'm not going to get it for you. And that isn't the way that you ask. They're going to understand that language because that's the way it's been and they know it. It's like, okay, well, this isn't working. And nine times out of 10, they're going to stop because it's not working. And so get control of yourself and you have an opportunity to get control of your child. Let's go back to the kid screaming and carrying on and acting like a maniac when he gets out of the tub. Okay. You tell him, you are not going to do this. You don't grab him. You don't fight with him. I need you to sit down and listen to me. There's not a chance on the planet he's going to do it the first 10 or 15 times, especially if you've let him get away with it how many bajillion times, right? But over time, he's going to learn to respond to what you're telling him, especially when he sees you practicing self control, you living a life, an example in front of him that is controlled. He's going to know that you're serious. He's going to respond to that. Let me give you this little bit of information. If you have an older child, it's going to take time. Do you know if you've already been doing this for 7 years and you think in 3 weeks it's going to change? That is not even close to realism. Okay? If you've been doing this for 7 years, you can fully expect that it's going to take 6 months to a year for significant change to occur. But the great news is it can happen. And I believe that you are more than capable of doing this. Okay? So, number one, get control of your own self. Number two, in time, you will be able to get control of what's going on in your relationship with your child. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button. It's been so good having you with me today. I will really look forward to your questions. I'm certain that I will hear some, and I will keep praying for you. Thank you for joining me.